Hello all, this is the Casual Noob Gamer back at you with another video. Oh yeah, video, yeah, let's go. Okay, so this video is a quick one. Basically, I watched the Nate the Hate podcast that he did, and of course, he dropped information on something that people have wanted to know and have been arguing over. Originally, people were saying, oh, we're getting a Nintendo Direct before Donkey Kong. It's gonna happen. And then there was this guy, Nash Weedle, that was saying that he heard from, before July came, that there were supposed to be from a couple of people, and then after July, he heard from a couple of people. And Nate had actually responded, I think, to either Nash Weedle or to people, I don't recall which one, before his podcast. He responded and said that he hadn't heard anything at the time, but he would let people know if he heard anything. And now he's done his podcast, and I don't know, I don't recall exactly what he said. I do know that he said the fact that if there will be a Nintendo Direct, it is going to be after Donkey Kong Bonanza releases, which is on the 17th, and it's going to be in July. I forgot if he said that he had... I mean, obviously he must have heard from someone that this has happened. I don't feel confident in this one. Although I trust that Nate wouldn't put something out there if he hadn't heard. Now, in the past, Nate has heard stuff and then come back after the fact and said, I'm now hearing conflicting stuff basically on what he's hearing. So Nate has been known in the past to take back things that he has said. Now, I don't think that Nate would have said anything knowing that it wasn't true, that he was just like saying it so he could just, revoke it in the future. I don't get the impression that Nate, like, now his channel does blow up with views. He gets a good amount of people that listen to him, especially people who want to report on it. I mean when I talk about this kind of stuff with the Nintendo Direct rumors, I kind of don't even like to speculate on it because, like my friend that I talk with online, he despises like the Nintendo Direct rumor train because it always seems like people are just kicking the can down the road. Like, Direct's happen next week, and then it doesn't happen next week, and then they're like, oh well, it didn't happen, but it's got to happen like sometime this month, so it's got to be the next week after that, and then it doesn't happen then, and they're like, okay, well now it's happening the next month, and it's like, like when Nate gave specifics like, hey, Nintendo Switch 2 reveal is happening on this date, and that's what I heard. Like, he gave a solid date, and it happened, and most people didn't believe him. Now, he's not giving solid dates, like, hey, he's just giving a general, like, kind of thing, so that tells me that Nate's information is not... I don't want to say reliable, but it's not like really like right direct on like it's happening this day. Now, I would imagine that obviously, Nintendo is there's gotta be someone at Nintendo who follows Nate's channel and says, hey, boss, Nate is saying that the Direct is happening sometime. Like, if Nate gave an exact date, I wouldn't put it past Nintendo to say, oh, well, Nate says it's happening on the 22nd, so we're going to make it the 23rd. So people think that Nate doesn't have accurate information. Like, I could see them, like, moving, because what's the issue if they move it a day or whatever? So, his information doesn't sound. So maybe he does have a date, but he knows that if he gives an exact date, like, Nintendo can move it, and I'm sure, like, because he's given stuff in the past where he's gotten kind of specific, and then stuff in the past, like, he's been much more accurate now. So I think he understands the fact that somebody at Nintendo is monitoring what he's put, because he's putting stuff out publicly. Obviously, they don't know. Maybe they don't know who he is, or maybe they do know, but they probably don't know who he is to, send someone to him to say, or to, kind of monitor, like, his communications on, like, social media, on, like, his actual real accounts, where, like, kind of like with my Facebook, that I have my Facebook and you have your Facebook with your friends and family, and, like, then they could monitor him there and see who is he talking to there, like, where is he getting this communication, so they can basically plug these leaks and see kind of who does he know that is a possibility that he could be talking to in, the industry that would know this, because it's not just people who work at Nintendo. I mean, if you're a third party and your game is being featured in a Nintendo Direct, then obviously you would know when your game is going to be featured. So, they can kind of flush him out that way to see who he is. Not just because obviously he's not doing anything wrong, but if someone from one of these companies has signed an what's called an NDA, a non-disclosure agreement, and they're disclosing to other people what could possibly be going on, that Nintendo doesn't want this information out there right now, then those people are in violation of those agreements. And, what they call the Nintendo ninjas, or the Nintendo, basically the lawyers, would show up to those people and say, you violated your agreement, and then I don't know what clauses they would have in that contract that they would have signed that say what penalty that they would face. Maybe if they're high enough up in the company, like, their game would be removed from the Direct and not featured, but they wouldn't get their money back, because I think these companies have to pay, they're paying Nintendo for the privilege to advertise during the Direct, which obviously I don't think you could just give money. I think you also have to have something that Nintendo feels would be a good fit for their Direct. So, like, if I just made, like, the dumbest game in the world, and I'm like, hey, I got the money, Nintendo, I want to advertise. I mean, obviously, I'm sure if you have enough money, money talks, so you could get your game advertised. But, if there's a contract signed and a non-disclosure agreement, and they're disclosing on the the side, because maybe they're friends with Nate, maybe whatever, Nate, they know Nate or whatever from maybe they went to high school with him. People, it's weird how people just know other people. Maybe they're family members, distant relatives, who knows. Anyway, that is beyond the point. Basically, Nate is saying that there is going to be a Nintendo Direct after Donkey Kong Bonanza is released, and in July. That is the new rumor right now. I hate to dedicate a video kind of to this, because it's like I want my channel to be something more of a discussion of, theories and stuff like that. But I guess, whether we're gonna get a direct. So what do we think we would see in a Nintendo Direct now? I mean, I really feel there is that one more game for this year that we don't know about, that it would be possibly a 3D Mario, but I mean only because it's the 40th anniversary of the release of Super Mario Brothers. So Nintendo would wanna maybe do that. There's rumors right now that there's a Galaxy 2 remake or a 3D Mario, a new one in the works. I personally think that if they went with kind of what they did in 2020, where they released the 3D Mario games on a limited cartridge, a limited release, that was 3D All Stars, and then this would be 4K All Stars, and they basically would have the 3D games now up-resed into 4K resolution, and you would have also 4 games, and then that's where Galaxy 2 would come in. So maybe Galaxy 2 would be, I don't know, maybe it would be like a full remake on the cartridge. I mean, Nintendo is working with, 64 gigabyte cartridges, so they could fit, I mean, they fit like 3D Mario games before on the one cartridge, and that was not a big one from what I understand. I mean, I own the game digitally, so I think it's only like 4 gigabytes for all 3 of those games. So a 64 gigabyte cart, they could definitely fit, 4 games, and it's not like it's native 4K with the games on Switch 2. So from what I understand, it's native. If anything, the most would be 1080p. So the file sizes wouldn't be that big, and it's also audio file sizes that make things bigger. And Mario games, you're really not talking except for the woohoos and whatnot. So the 4K is the upres with the DLSS to push it up to 4K from a 1080p. So when it comes to, also with the graphics department, they don't have to get 4K images of everything, like the environments and whatnot. They have to get it to 1080, and then the DLSS does the heavy lifting. But Mario games are also usually, I mean, I want to say at least 30, but I would say that it would be, I want to say also maybe 60 FPS. Ooh. Oh, my leg is bothering me. Sorry about that. But yeah, I mean, so 3D Mario, Galaxy 2 remake, because we didn't get Galaxy 2 in that Mario compilation that we got, the 3D All Stars. They also, from what I feel that they stopped selling that too, because they started with the N64 drop of systems on the NSO. So if you have Mario 64 on there, and people have the option to buy Mario 64, which is a big draw of the N64, because there aren't a lot of games on there. And then they knew they were coming out with GameCube, which now is going to have Sunshine on it. So those 2 games right there. If you have NSO, you don't need that game, and Nintendo doesn't want to see like their games like just sit on shelves. So make it limited, and then they probably were, which also tells me they're probably planning on releasing now a 4K version of the game. Now the question is that compilation, is it going to be Switch 1 and Switch 2 compatible, meaning that on Switch 1 you'll get it in 1080p, which is the native. But on Switch 2, the Switch 2 will have like an upgrade pack on the cartridge that will then upres the Switch 1 games to Switch 2 versions. Now I could see them that would be very nice because then you're allowing your Switch 1 players to be able to celebrate the Mario 40th, which it should be all your current systems, and Switch 1 is not something that they want to forget, especially for Mario. You shouldn't, like, they're trying to make you say, "Hey, I need to have a Switch too," which their way of saying it would say, "Hey, if you want this in 4K, then you have to." But then could they call it 4K All Stars? Would that be false advertising? If it, I guess it would be a Switch 2 cartridge that also worked back compat on Switch 1. So that way it'll be a limited cartridge, so limited release. And then, it'll have back compatibility on Switch 1 so you could still enjoy it there, but not at the top resolution of the 4K. So, yeah, I don't know if, like, legally they could then call it 4K, but maybe they'll just call it 4D, so they don't call it 4K, so it's not false advertising. Although it's not 4D because you're not doing anything with Mario and time. I mean, that would be a Chrono Trigger game. A game that dealt with time. But yeah, I mean, that's the least of what we could get for a direct. That would be the least. The other stuff would be, dates about the things that we already know about, like Metroid Prime 4. We'll get a date for that. We could get a shadow drop, or I don't want to say shadow drop because they shadow dropped Prime Remaster, but get something with Prime 2 and 3. I mean, you could put Prime 2 on GameCube as a release, but then Prime 3, you don't have a Wii NSO, so how do you do that? So that's why I think that would be a release. So you have that. The September Direct, which is not long now. September Direct, they would talk about Tamagotchi Life. They would give you a date for that because that's coming out next year. I don't know how soon that FromSoft game is going to come out. That would be a September. So that I don't think would be this kind of July. That's supposed to also be our summer direct that talks about what's coming out for the rest of the year. Yeah. I mean, like I said, the main point of this video is to say that we're on direct watch now after Donkey Kong. So enjoy Donkey Kong. Go get it. Best Buys in store are going to have Nintendo Switch 2. So if you're looking to get a Nintendo Switch 2, you don't have one yet, that might be your way to get it right now. I don't know how many they're going to have in store. Donkey Kong is going to be a good time. If you don't have a Switch 2, I am sorry. I hope that you are able to get one and that you have the means to get one. I would do it. If you can do it now because with tariffs that are uncertain, I don't think that Nintendo is going to eat the tariffs anymore going forward. I feel that there is going to be a price increase, although they may hold off on that and eat it because it is launch year and they want to get people on board, and people are already upset with the price as it is. So, I mean, demand, these things are being scooped up, especially in Japan. So we will see what happens. Anyway, like, subscribe, comment, hit the bell notification so you know when I release my videos. I hope that you have a great day. I am going to try to have a great day. My nose just got very stuffed if you hear it in my voice right now. I am going to go blow my nose off camera. That is not something that I think you want to see. Anyway, you have a wonderful rest of your day. I am the Casual Noob Gamer, and have a great one. Later.